After 12 episodes and 13 allegedly haunted locations, I've been able to draw a few conclusions. First, I'm firmly convinced that the vast majority of ghost stories can be explained without reference to anything paranormal. However, there are some cases that seem to defy rational explanation. We should always be conscious of the fact that there are a great many things about our universe and ourselves that we haven't even begun to understand yet. Hi, I'm Paul Kimball.
And I'm Holly Stevens. And for the past 12 episodes, we've been investigating some of the most haunted locations in the maritime provinces of Canada and in the United Kingdom.
Haunted churches, haunted graveyards, haunted private homes, haunted restaurants, haunted inns, haunted hotels, a haunted Neolithic burial chamber. Have I forgotten any of the haunted places we've been? A haunted radio station.
That is true. Yes, many haunted locations. So tonight, what we're going to do is bring you some of the best evidence from those locations.
As well as some of the weirdest moments, the strangest moments, some of what we think are the funniest moments.
There's a lot of those.
There's a lot of those. Whether you folks agree or not, who knows, but we think they're funny. And then at the end, Holly and I are going to come back and we'll each give our thoughts on what's happened to us over the last year of our journey of ghost investigating. So stick around, enjoy the best of ghost cases, and we'll talk to you at the end of the episode. While Holly and Elaine explored the courthouse, our 4 infrared cameras had been activated. For the most part, nothing anomalous had been recorded, but there was one particular clip that caught our attention. In my opinion, light anomalies like this have perfectly rational, non-paranormal explanations. Many people, however, believe that these so-called orbs represent ghosts or spirits of the dead. In this case, we leave it to the viewer to decide for themselves.
We're always careful when reporting DVR evidence. In most cases, light anomalies can be explained by dust or insects reflecting off the infrared light. In this case, however, the light anomaly is an unusual shape and size and follows a path around the salad bar that one could imagine a human being, or in this case, possibly a spirit, might follow. Watch for a seemingly transparent shadow that appears at the left side of the screen, and then follow it as the shadow passes by the trigger item and becomes more visible just before it disappears off camera at the right of the screen. Could this have been a curious spirit examining the picture of the ship? We don't know, but perhaps our trigger item worked better than we first thought. The area to watch is on the wall behind the computer screen. Our camera picks up an unusual disturbance, and then an orb appears and flies across the room. The orb wasn't the only thing that our camera picked up, however. Before it takes form, our camera recorded what appears to be an anomalous, 3-dimensional image on the wall.
I've never been convinced that orbs were evidence of paranormal activity, but I have to admit that I found the footage we recorded in room 473 to be interesting, particularly how Holly responds to the light after it goes by her. She looks behind her. I can't offer an explanation for that. I find it to be genuinely anomalous.
I saw what I thought was just a temporarily light just on the edges of these sort of tombs, and I came rushing over trying to account for everybody where everybody was. The only person that wasn't with us was Dale, and he was at the far end,
Down in the cemetery
down
area.
in the cemetery near the lower cemetery, just scouting around that area. I don't know if it was basically just that he's wandered the torch and it's just caught my eye as it swept this area. I'm not too sure. But I talked to Dale, and he said that he didn't come over to this area with his torch. So,
well, here's the great thing about sort of the scientific method. We might be able to recreate
that's right. Yeah.
a torch from that far down.
If we can get Dale to go right down to where he was
Yeah.
earlier,
Yeah.
and with his lift, it's only a very small torch.
Yeah.
And with his torch, just to flash over in this area,
See if it
and
catches
if we
anything.
can just go further, just round the corner a bit, and see if we can see that torch, then
Okay.
we'll be able to find out.
All right. We'll head down here, and Dale's going to swing his torch, as they say here in Britain, or as we would say, his flashlight, back here as if he was walking where he was, and we'll see if that creates any light effect over
Yeah,
here.
that'll be wonderful. Yeah.
And if it doesn't, then we have some anomaly,
could have
perhaps.
an anomaly.
Yeah. All right. Let's go hang out down here. Yep. He's always pointing in that direction,
It wouldn't have looked like that.
and that's like lights the hole.
Yeah, because as a flashlight works, the beam goes out.
Yeah.
And it gets further and further apart the distance you're away.
Yeah.
And when Dale was down there and he flashed his light up here, it was too widespread. It was very focused, the light where I saw.
Yeah.
So I think we could have something on this thing.
When Holly told me that she was going to spend some time alone in the attic, I was both relieved that for once I didn't have to do it, and also intrigued to see if she would have some of the same strange experiences I had had on other investigations.
Okay, so we're on take 2 of Holly spends the alone time in the creepy attic in Lewisburg. Footsteps of the crew leaving. Essentially, what happened was the camera died without explanation. It's quite lovely. So, you know, they've touched it up, put on a new battery. Should have been full, but apparently drained ridiculously fast since they set it up. Obviously, you saw how long it was set up. And now I'm here again, alone. In a period of 20 minutes, our sound technician, Dale Lucky, burned through 2 sets of batteries that should have lasted over 2 hours.
How long are these ones running?
They've only been going probably max 20 minutes today.
What do you usually get out of them?
That first shoot we were on down in Liscombe,
Yeah.
I think I didn't change batteries once.
And that would have been a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't know what's going on, but anyway.
I had to change 4 times whilst I've been here. Now it's the same pack, come out of the same packs that I use when I'm at home, and they're usually pretty much good for a week or so, usually about a week. But just for the location here tonight, I've changed them 4 times. So. But it is quite common for people to report battery loss on equipment when the new batteries have been placed in them in areas where alleged paranormal phenomena takes place. So.
Paul is right now in the cemetery, and we'd like to anybody who is connected to the Hemlows to go and show themselves to him. Be gentle.
Or not.
But make it clear that you are there, and we shall see.
Okay, the light is completely dead. So thanks to Nathan for putting up a light that lasted 30 minutes. And I'm out here. It's wet, it's creepy, it's cold. I'm on top of the grave of a guy who died over 100 years ago who might be haunting a house just down the road. That's what's going down on the grave of James Hemlow, for whatever it's worth. From a guy who, with each passing episode, with each time he does that, I become less and less of a debunker or a real skeptic, and more of an open-minded agnostic that there might be something to all this. Oh my.
See, there will be camera I cannot see the
When Ghost Cases returns, we continue looking at some of the best evidence
just before
from
you said
season
that,
1.
Look where my head went. Back down. I felt the same.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Ghost Cases returns with more of the best moments from Season 1.
You may get burned when playing with the fire of the unknown. In fact, I think it's a very real possibility. There is true danger there and caution is required. But at the same time, there is no point in hiding from what we don't know. You could get hit by a car crossing the street. The danger is just as real and just as damaging. The difference being is that with the car, you might actually see it coming.
I want you to see in your mind, Ollie, a light, a bright light, a beautiful light.
My arm is numb.
It's okay. It's okay. Okay. Go towards the light. Okay, he's going.
Mm-hmm. My arm's supposed to hurt?
Yep.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay. Take a breath. Oh, crap. Okay. Okay, he's gone.
I knew what Paul was trying to do by putting the noose around its neck. Antagonize the spirit of Tom Hutchings into making some form of contact. I can't say I always agree with his tactics, but I had my EMF detector and we had ADR set up to hopefully record any kind of voice anomalies, and we had the camera set up in the far corner.
I don't know. I'd like to think that maybe they could. Maybe humor's the way to reach ghosts. But who knows? I mean, it's respectful humor. We're not disrespecting. Well, I'm curious what this felt like, and I think if you're going to sit, it actually really does. I mean, you do a good yank. So, no, not you. A controlled yank that I can control. Need you breaking my neck.
Ollie and I had been in the jail cell for the better part of an hour, and nothing had happened. We decided to turn the lights out entirely to really try and get a feel for what it would have been like to be Tom Hutchings in there waiting for his execution at night. And that's when things got really weird.
Oh,
That was weird.
yeah.
What?
I have a very strong feeling of something in front of us.
Really?
And the EMF went off.
Oh my God.
I'm not kidding.
Me neither. I was sitting here and all of a sudden I felt this cold go around my throat.
What strikes me most about this experience is the fact we had the one thing that skeptics are always looking for: corroboration. Two independent witnesses seeing or experiencing something at the same time in the same place. In our case, different things, but still, that is the kind of evidence skeptics are always looking for.
And then to top it all off, it happened again. It's up again, it's up, and it's gone. Okay.
See, there will be camera I cannot see the EVP thing. There will be camera confirmation on that just before you said that, look where my head went. Back down, I felt the same.
Are you serious?
Yep, I went, the camera will confirm, before you said it, I went like this. Right back down in. Like, I don't actually really want to expose my neck at the moment, because it's kind of creepy. Ugh.
I don't think I've seen you like this before, Paul.
Yeah, well, I got a thing about strangling and necks and throats and stuff. Maybe in a previous life I was hanged. The noose was funny, because the noose is no threat. And this, who knows?
This is an unknown.
Okay. Look, spook time's over. We're spooked.
The feeling of being strangled, if that's what it was definitely an uncomfortable experience. Now, I'm a skeptic. I believe in evidence. I'm well aware of the subjective nature of what happened to me in the jail cell that night. But I'm also aware that whatever happened, happened. I can't discount it. I can't explain it. All I know is I felt it, and it felt real.
Paper, rock, scissors. Which one of us moves the picture?
Yeah, Paul's moving the picture. That's the first one I've ever won.
So I have a question. You said that if you touch the picture, someone dies.
Yes.
So, apparently. So then rock, paper, scissors doesn't necessarily mean that Paul moving the picture means that he's gonna die. Could be you that dies,
It could be.
technically.
But hey,
Or me,
hey.
or Steve.
Then I'll come back as a ghost and to my colleagues and try and...
Oh, that would be good.
And be able to...
If you could, yeah.
I'd just be interested if anybody dies.
When confronted with a story that portends some dire paranormal consequences if a certain action is taken, I have a habit of throwing caution to the wind because I don't believe in ghosts or demons or curses. At the line in Swan, I did it once again, this time with the painting of Caroline in the basement. At the time, Dave Sadler and I joked around about people dying because I had moved the painting, and then we thought nothing more of it as we moved on with our investigation. However, the next day we got news that the father of one of the participants in our investigation that evening had passed away suddenly the next morning. This is something that I've struggled to come to terms with in relation to both our investigation of the line in Swan and this episode. The skeptic in me wants to dismiss it as a pure coincidence. Given all the circumstances, however, I can't help but wonder if maybe for once I actually went too far and crossed some sort of paranormal Rubicon with tragic consequences. At the line in Swan, supremely confident in my skepticism, I came and I saw. But it may have been the curse of Caroline's painting that ultimately conquered.
As I was moving along the side of the church, I felt compelled to move into a remote corner of the grounds. Turning back towards the church, I was overcome with a sense that we were not alone. For whatever reason, this corner interested me. I walked up through and obviously there was nothing going on, but I was standing in that area and I turned and I looked at the rest of the church, the building, and nothing happened, but it felt like something was going on. And in my mind, I literally thought the words, something's happening. It was an emotional response that something's happening.
With all honesty, you have just described to me word for word exactly the same as many other, well, not many, I'm not talking tens, I'm talking 3, 4, 5 people have said word for word. There's something else going on here.
Something else happening.
There's something else. It's like there's a curtain and there's something else beyond the curtain.
And I can't see it, but
Harry Potter-esque.
Yeah, but I can feel it. And I mean, I wasn't frightened or scared or anything. It was without a doubt. I can't see it, but I know.
With our camera set up, we decided to explore different areas of the church grounds. I found what I thought was a nice, quiet little spot at the rear of the church. Within minutes, however, I had one of my weirdest experiences yet as a paranormal investigator. Out of the corner of my eye, and then I looked over, it was over in this direction, and because the sky, there's trees and trees, and then there's sky in between, which allows you to, gives a backdrop of some illumination that you can see things. And it's weird. I would describe it almost in a science fiction sense as if a door opened. So, like this, kind of a door opened, a shape formed. It was totally black and surrounded by the night sky, which is slightly illuminated from a town off in this direction, I guess. And then as soon as it was there, it was gone. Maybe a second or 2 seconds, I suppose, afterwards. When Ghost Cases returns, more of the best evidence from Season 1. Ghost Cases returns with more of the best evidence from Season 1. So I'll leave you two guys here, and maybe without my sort of dark, forbidding, skeptical presence, if there is something, give it another 10 minutes, see what happens.
Graham and I spent about another half hour in the cellar, but nothing seemed to happen, so we headed upstairs to rejoin Paul and the UPIA, who'd begun packing up. It wasn't until later that we discovered my audio recorder had picked up an eerie, childlike voice as I was leaving the basement. And we're back upstairs now. The house was intense with energy that night, and everything seemed centered around the fact that a baby could be buried in the basement of the house. Our digital recording devices picked up the following anomaly in the house that evening.
And that's kind of another. And that's kind of another.
What the hell is that? Did you hear that?
Okay.
Oh my God.
That's incredibly strange. I mean, I know old buildings make noises. I've
No.
lived in one my entire life, but that's
not a typical old noise.
Does it sound like it's coming from upstairs?
Yeah. There it is again. Do you see anything?
No.
It sounds like, oh, I wonder what's up here.
Well, there's the attic above us.
It sounds just like footprints.
Steps.
Steps.
It's all good.
It is.
It's all good.
I got shivers. Somebody's walking upstairs.
Well, it's what it sounds like, and we're getting reports of people having that kind of noise anomaly, if you want to call it, because there's no one upstairs, and most of the time they keep that door locked. It's unlocked right now because we're monitoring with the DVR.
Yes.
So,
and there's no one there.
Kelly and I conducted a thorough search upstairs, and then we went outside and checked around the building. Wind-related noises were present, but we could account for them. Our digital video cameras confirmed that there was no one upstairs, and we couldn't find anything else that could explain the sounds that we encountered in the Douaget house.
It was only later, when we reviewed the audio recorder that Holly had with her in room 115, that we realized the voices she thought she had heard might actually have been real, and that there may be something to the ghost stories of the Waverly Inn after all.
It's got two. It's got two.
After 12 episodes and 13 allegedly haunted locations, I've been able to draw a few conclusions. First, I'm firmly convinced that the vast majority of ghost stories can be explained without reference to anything paranormal. However, as with most things allegedly paranormal, there are some cases that seem to defy rational explanation. As I see it, there are two possible reasons for this. The first is that the investigation may have been flawed in some way, or incomplete, so that a non-paranormal answer might be available, but it just hasn't been found yet. The second, and more interesting possibility, is that there really is something paranormal happening.
With so much to discover, it would be arrogant to assume that we have all the variables to formulate all the answers. The paranormal will always exist. Not because science won't expand into the unknown and generate answers, but because there will always be more questions.
We should always be conscious of the fact that there are a great many things about our universe and ourselves that we haven't even begun to understand yet.
All we can do is keep looking, keep asking questions, and keep our minds open just a little bit so that we are prepared when discovery does hit. I don't believe in ghosts, but I do believe in the possibility that lies within what we do not know.
My conclusion about ghosts coming out of this series is the same as it was going in, and can best be summed up by the motto I try to apply to all things in my life, whether normal or paranormal. Don't believe, don't disbelieve, think. Thanks for watching.